Hey, everybody, it's Christine Parakis, and we are in for a huge treat today. I had to beg, borrow, and steal to get my guest to come on. He does not do other people's shows, so we are so lucky. You have no idea. We've got Karl BRYAN here, who's the chairman of the fastest-growing business coaching company in the world, with nearly 10,000 business coaches trained and operating in 24 countries. He has developed his proprietary white-labeled profit acceleration software that's used by many of the world's top business minds and is built to find any business owner $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing and advertising. Who wouldn't want to know more about that? Karl is a recognized leader of a new generation in online marketing, sales, and leadership. He's started numerous successful companies as well as helped others achieve their lifelong dreams of marketing business effectively. I don't know anybody who is more dedicated to the growth of small business and to support small business entrepreneurs and leaders, but this guy has done it all and seen it all, and it was not a straight line. And so on this show, as you all know, we talk about the zigs and the zags because that's what's relatable. And I know, Karl, you've got a story, and I'd love to hear it, so I'm going to stop talking and ask you to share a bit about how you got to where you are.
Oh, well, thank you for the introduction. I'm very concerned. I'm going to let everybody down now, but hey, let's do our best.
What are the odds?
But
you'll make up for it at the end.
But so look, my story, it's just one of those ones, but my big brother committed suicide when I was 16 years old over a business failing. My mother then drank herself to death right in front of me as sort of self-imposed punishment. Didn't know really what was happening at the time, but it's a horrific situation, but if you have to take it good, I can comfortably say that it kind of launched a young man on a mission. Because I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. I always say that separations, like marriages, break up from lack of money more than they do lack of love times 100. So I'm really passionate about business. I'm significantly more passionate about helping people become successful in business. So, yeah, I've kind of dedicated my life to it. Very fortunate guy, and can't begin to tell you how blessed and grateful I am. But that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it, right? I started and Christine, you've known me pretty well for a lot of years, and that's just the genesis of it, and here we are. So, but I'm excited to be here. I got to tell you,
you tell this story because it's part of you and in your DNA, and we all understand it. But we're in the middle of a global pandemic. I just told you I just lost my father. We've all got stuff. Yeah. I call them Category 5 events, and there's a moment, right, when you are in the puddle of helplessness of whatever's happening, whether it's financial distress or the loss of a loved one or, just being in isolation, where you've got to make a transition, and you've done that. And that's the piece that I think our listeners would love to hear about, because where you sit today may be a bit hard to imagine from those beginnings. So what was the key for you that got you over those terrible things happening really close proximity to each other at such a young age?
I don't know. I think I need, not saying reasons come first, answers come second, and, there wasn't much other option. But I think, in the interest of somebody listening and making sure that they got it, here's what I try to do, and I do this so pathetically, imperfectly, it would be amazing, but I can tell you on a day-to-day basis, what I try to achieve is mastery. And when you study mastery, at least from my learnings and the way that I take it, is that mastery is not about me competing with you. It's not about me competing with, the Jeff Bezoses or the late, great Tony Hsieh, who I just wrote a really cool article about, what I think is a really cool article, just about, some of his troubles, isolation. I called it Peter Pan meets COVID. And it's kind of but the bottom line is, what do we lose? It's not me about competing with what they've accomplished. And frankly, if I ever got there, I'm nowhere near it. Probably never going to get there. But I will tell you this, that every day and mastery to me is me competing with me. And every single day, I just want to be a little bit better. If I were to give everybody an example, so I'm a sales and marketing guy through and through. I grew up in a family with a newspaper. Sales and marketing comes, pretty organically to me, right? But small business finance, accounting is something that is totally foreign, and frankly, something that I can honestly say I used to be practically scared of, right? Well, mastery to me was that if I'm going to undertake, I got business coaches all over the world that use our software and whatnot. If I'm going to be the absolute best, I don't want to say mentor because I don't want to take that mental, but the idea that I'm kind of leading the charge, so to speak, then for me not to take on small business finance would just be ingenuous. So I undertook over the last number of years to learn that. And it wasn't me competing with Christine. It wasn't me competing again with the gurus. It was me competing with me and knowing that if I was going to be the best mentor possible, to our business coaches around the world, 24 countries, that to not be able to train them and to guide them and to, answer questions from a place of wisdom and in a place of intelligence, not from a place of, golly gee, I think so, and I hope I'm not wrong. It was just something I needed to do. So mastery to me meant that I had to go. I just finished a book, Accounting 101 for Business Coaches, who I wrote with a client of mine for 10 years, a 30-year accountant named Peter Lawson, great guy. But we co-wrote a book on accounting. So I went from a guy scared of accounting to a guy writing a book about accounting and teaching a program on, Accounting 101 for Business Coaches. So I don't know, for everybody listening, I don't know if that provides value, but I would encourage them to take on mastery. And the beauty is that it's just you competing with you. It's, again, another example that I give when I teach it. It's not Kobe Bryant competing with Michael Jordan. It's Kobe Bryant was competing with Kobe Bryant. And in his opinion, you can see the interview online, but Kobe Bryant believes that he was the best basketball player of all time. And he didn't want to achieve it in your eyes, my eyes, or Michael Jordan's eyes. He wanted to achieve it in Kobe Bryant's eyes, and he did that. So I think that there's power in that. That's how I took my negative and do my best to turn it into a positive. And I kind of try to live for two, right, my brother and I. And so there you go. I don't know if that helps, but that's what I'd say that's how I turned a negative to a positive, kind of.
Well, I think that's one of the things that what connects us is that I feel too that mastery is its own mission, and whatever that means. So sometimes that's mastery over, recovering from back-to-back Category 5 hurricanes and living, without electricity, running water, et cetera. And but one of the things that you talk about that I love so much consistently is your day-to-day habits. Because it's hard sometimes. Mastery can suck, right?
Yeah,
if you don't love numbers, you don't love numbers, if you don't love what you're doing all the time, So let's talk a bit about some of the habits that any of us can do that I know you've also mastered and you talk about so consistently and perfectly.
Yeah. Again, master, though, I just say that my wife would disagree vehemently. But it's just
go get her on the show next.
Yeah, I know. Please don't. She'll blow up everything I'm saying. You go, he's a dog's breakfast. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. No. So, so my habits, just on a daily basis, actually, I might go. Okay, the article that I just wrote, Peter Pan meets COVID. Tony Hsieh. I think the magic of this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to portray it properly. But I believe the magic in what I'm about to say for a business owner trying to really crush it, this is incredible. He wanted to achieve world peace. That's just Tony Hsieh, eccentric as heck. It was a blessing and ended up being a curse. But at the end of the day, this guy was gifted on freaking steroids, up there with, the greatest business minds of all time, in my opinion. He wanted to achieve world peace. Well, this is what he wanted to undertake. He wanted to achieve 1 minute of global world peace and have everybody acknowledge it and everybody follow through on it. The magic of that is that he had this huge vision, world peace. Like, it's the hardest thing you could ever take on, in my opinion, right? Well, but he didn't think, he wasn't stupid enough, or his goal wasn't about, the goal was world peace, but the tactical step-by-step process he was undertaking, and he was undertaking, was to basically create 1 minute of world peace. How crazy is that, right? Where you just took a big vision and turned it into a small bite-sized chunk. And I think that when you're thinking about your habits, when you really decide one thing, it makes everything easier, okay? So example, I wrote an article on Kobe Bryant that basically said this. He decided what I said a minute ago. He wanted to be the greatest basketball player of all time. You can see interviews all over the world where he would just blatantly say that, and it was obvious to everyone. And he carried himself with arrogance and that sort of stuff. But because he knew exactly what he wanted, his decisions became easy, right? So, Christine, let's play a game. You're going to become Kobe Bryant for a minute, and you wanted to be the greatest basketball player of all time. And it wasn't hyperbole, and it wasn't, just some, you trying to, pound your chest. This was you wanted to be the greatest basketball player of all time, and you were totally committed to what it took to basically undertake that goal, right? So do you train, you are Kobe Bryant, Christine, do you train once a day or do you train 3 times a day? You're Kobe Bryant. 3 or 1?
3 times a day. 3 times,
okay,
for sure.
It's game time. Okay, the game is today. Your wife wants you to take out the trash. You really don't want to take out the damn trash, but that's going to cause a fight. And in a fight, you know what I mean? This is not an ideal scenario for your mindset. So do you take out the damn trash and avoid the fight? Or do you bitch and moan at your wife and kick the garbage can and walk out the door? Do you just take it out?
I'd like to say I'd explain to her that I'm working to be the greatest basketball player of all time, and we got to hire someone to take the trash out.
I love it. Oh, my God.
Communication, right?
There we go. You get the idea, though, right? Again, there's broccoli and there's chocolate. You love chocolate, but which one do you grab?
You eat the broccoli. Absolutely.
It's 10 o'clock at night. You want to get home to your family, but you need to watch game film because you lost by 3 points and you're playing the same team in 2 days. Do you stay and watch game film, or do you go home and basically, do you go home? You stay, right?
You watch the game film, yeah.
That's you see, when you know what you want and you're legitimately committed to it, the decisions become easy to the point where you literally just channeled Kobe Bryant, right? And I could have, and anybody listening could have. So for those listening, habits on a daily basis are absolutely mission critical. You got to wake up early. Again, you want to wake up at noon, you want to wake up at 10. I'm sorry, you're just not going to be, uber successful with a decent probability. I'm sure there's people that have done it, but I'd like to meet them. I haven't, right? So you're going to have to get up early. You're going to have to hit the computer. You're going to have to do the work. What I tell business coaches all the time is that they stare at the phone and hide behind the computer and experience pain. And if you're going to let that be your habit versus just picking up the phone and making a few phone calls and making some cold outreach and connecting with people, and then not connecting with people because you want to make lots of money, that's pathetic. That's for the broke guy. That's for the person that can't make a mortgage payment. What you do is you connect with them to help them. That's the difference, right? So nobody wants to make a cold call, but what we teach is that it's not a cold call if you actually want to give something away, if you actually want to help somebody. If you know that marriages break up from lack of money over lack of love, you'll make that phone call from a place of love, from a place of serving, from a place of help, and you'll end up with enough business that you won't be able to help yourself. But there needs to be that adjustment, right? So it's not just, what I'm getting at is, yes, the habits are mission critical. You need them. I need them. Everybody listening needs them, right? But the bigger picture will trump the habits, because then the habits just happen automatically. Like, you stay and watch game film. You take out the damn trash. As much as you love the idea of eating the chocolate bar, you grab the broccoli, right? So anyways, I believe that metaphor of knowing exactly what you want, and this is Tony Hsieh. He knew world peace is what he wanted, but what he did is he said, but I better turn this into a bite-sized, tiny, 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 tiny chunk in order to, facilitate the process to be able to get remotely anywhere near something that would resemble world peace. And what made sense to him is to create 1 minute of global peace. So anyways, and the habits. Yeah. And I think one that I would like, if you were to press me and say, give me